Have you ever heard of checks and balances? No, not the financial kind. I'm talking about checks and balances for the U.S. federal government. The Constitution divides the U.S. government into three branches. They are the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. This is called a separation of powers. Each branch has its own job to do. Congress makes the laws, the president enforces the laws, and the court interprets the laws. But the Founding Fathers worried that one branch of government might become too powerful. They were especially worried about the president. Remember, Americans had just won their independence from Great Britain. They didn't want the president becoming a powerful tyrant like King George III. So what stops one branch from becoming too powerful? That's where checks and balances come in. Each branch has ways to check the power of the other two branches. That way, power remains balanced with no single branch overstepping its authority. First, let's look at the legislative branch. The job of Congress is to write bills that eventually become laws, but Congress can't just make any law at once. Once Congress approves a bill, it is sent to the executive branch. As the head of the executive branch, the president has two options. He can sign the bill, which turns it into law, or he can reject the bill by vetoing it. The president's power to approve or veto a bill is one way the executive branch checks the lawmaking power of Congress. However, just because a president vetoes a bill doesn't mean it can't become law. What if Congress disagrees with the president's decision? Congress can override the president's veto if 2/3 of both houses agree to do so. Overriding the president's veto is a difficult thing to do, but it's how Congress checks the power of the executive branch. Keep in mind, the president isn't the only branch that checks the lawmaking power of Congress. As the highest court in America, the Supreme Court has the power to review any law passed by Congress. The Supreme Court decides if the law is constitutional or unconstitutional. The court can strike down or reject any law or part of a law that goes against the Constitution. Declaring a law unconstitutional is like saying it shouldn't have been made in the first place. In U.S. history, the Supreme Court has struck down a number of laws passed by Congress. Next, let's look at the executive branch. The president's job is to enforce the laws, but that doesn't mean he's above the Constitution. Just like with the law, the Supreme Court can declare a president's actions unconstitutional. This check on the executive branch keeps the president from abusing his powers. Congress also works to keep the president from stepping out of line. If a president breaks the law, Congress can vote to impeach or bring the president to trial. This is a serious check on the president's power. In all of United States history, only 2 presidents have been impeached and neither was found guilty. Lastly, let's look at the judicial branch. One of the biggest checks on the judicial branch comes from the executive branch. There are 9 justices on the court, 1 chief justice and 8 associate justices. When a vacancy occurs, the president can nominate a new justice to fill the position. Supreme Court justices serve for life, so the opportunity to choose a new justice is a big deal. A new justice will make important decisions for decades to come, long after the president has left office. However, the president's nominee is not final. Congress gets to decide if the new justice is qualified for the job. The power to approve or reject new justices is one way the legislative branch checks the power of the Supreme Court. So, do you have all that memorized? Just keep in mind that each branch has a job to do, but all 3 branches work together to make sure no single branch becomes too powerful. Checks and balances are complicated, but it's the best way to balance power in our government. And remember, you and every other American play a part here too. The U.S. government was designed to work for its citizens. To do that, the government needs to hear your ideas, your opinions, and most importantly, your vote. After all, the people are the ultimate check on the government's power.